Hey everyone, welcome to the Athletes for Hope Black History Month Mental Health Panel. My name is Deja Griffin. I'm a Southern University soccer player and I'm a senior. I'm also a digital media intern. If you guys would introduce yourselves.
My name is Julian Rawlins. I'm from Huntersville, North Carolina, and I play football at Davidson College, where I am a junior.
My name is Malik. I also go to Davidson. I'm on the football team, and I'm from Memphis.
I'm Ckelby Givens. I'm from Shreveport, Louisiana. I go to Southern University. I'm a sophomore and I play football.
Hello, everybody. My name is Ashante Griffin. I'm from San Diego, California, and I'm a soccer player at Southern University.
Looks like we have a pretty well-rounded group here. So if you don't mind me asking, how did you choose the university that you chose to attend college and play your sport?
Yeah, I'll start off for this one. Davidson College, small college, North Carolina. We're a liberal arts school, but we're still Division I. We have only 2,000 students, but a quarter of our students are D1 athletes. So that was my compulsion. That was what pulled me towards Davidson, was the ability to pursue a good education in a nice liberal arts institution while still being able to play football. Because I study biology and I'm on the pre-med track, trying to go to med school after I graduate. So that wouldn't have been an opportunity at a lot of other schools at the Division I level. That's why I chose Davidson.
I can piggyback off of that. I also chose Southern because I started out as a mechanical engineering major. So being able to have that tough of a major and playing a D1 sport, like, go hand in hand. On top of that, I get to go to an HBCU that I'm surrounded by people that look like me. So it's real comfortable. I'm a double major, but I wouldn't be able to do that at I don't believe I'd be able to do that at the Pac-5 level or anything like that. So it's a good culture experience and it's a great learning environment.
Yes, going to Southern University is definitely a great learning environment. I'm a mass communications major, and I just love it here. Like you said, being surrounded by people that kind of look like you, that gives you some sort of a comfort level, and being surrounded by people who have the same mindset as you, and also being surrounded by athletes who also have the same mindset as you gives you a great comfort level.
Yeah, for me, I really chose Davidson. I really didn't know much about it, even the academic rigor. But I chose it because of coaches being persistent, and I think while being here, I've been able to have more joy and kind of experience something that I really didn't think I would. In regards to teammates and community involvement, Davidson was just a great choice for me, but I didn't even know it at the beginning.
That's good. It's good to hear that you're able to surround yourself with people that have the same mindsets as well as grow, and you're in a good environment, a good place. So how do you balance the pressure of performing on the academic level as well as on the field? And how do you maintain your mental health?
I feel like you balance that as just knowing what's the most important thing, at that point in time. As for me, like our coaches tell us just about every day that our sport is going to end one day. So, just knowing that academics are more important than our sport at hand, and just having that balance, to know what I need to be doing at that point in time, and how, also having a schedule out every day, like what needs to be done, what time I'm doing it.
Just going off of that, I like to keep myself extremely on my schedule. I keep a schedule on my phone, and that's pretty much like I swear by that. I'll stick to that schedule, and that helps alleviate a lot of stress that doing so much in a day might bring. Because personally, for me, stress comes from uncertainty, not knowing what I'm going to do in a day, or feeling like I might have forgotten something. because oftentimes I know being an athlete, a scholar athlete, there's not too much downtime in the day. So if you have that downtime, you're kind of worried you might be missing something, or there's something you should be doing, or better prioritizing your time. So I think laying it out in a schedule has been the biggest biggest way that I've been able to manage the stressors of being a student athlete.
I can definitely agree with that, just because I was going to say, like, the main way to be able to balance everything is using your tools. So whether that's your support system, whether that's the advisors that you have, whether it's like Julian said, using your phone to have like reminders, a schedule, just because a routine keeps you sane, let's say, in this realm of what we have going on, especially because we're young, we're still growing, we're handling different habits, different parts of our life are changing. So that I could totally agree to with that uncertainty thing. I like, if there's a day, like say we have a day off, I know we can all agree that day off is not a day off. Like, you're not doing anything. So having that schedule is real important for me too, just because it allows me to see, like, okay, I have this amount of downtime. Maybe I can do a little hobby, keep myself, like a little relaxed, and then I can get right back to doing my homework or going to work out.
Yeah. I think for me, my faith is pretty important. And so that has kind of helped me to see, like, hey, if I messed up in football or school, like, it's not the end of the world. And so I guess just kind of minimizing things that we view as super imperative, but that they're not, and that we'll be okay. Also think that just being comfortable around like your teammates, like getting to know them. I think that's something that I've grown in since I've been at school, getting to know the people around me, coaches, the community. I think that's allowed me just to be more comfortable and just relieve some of the stress.
Just
Going
to
back to
expand
what?
also,
Oh,
oh my
go ahead.
bad.
Go ahead.
To
Go ahead.
expand also on what I was saying earlier, I spoke about the scheduling, but I also partake in the practice of mindfulness, which is something that, basically just meditation practices that help you ground yourself in any instance. There's a whole bunch of different techniques that you can deploy situationally. Um, this was it was a big thing in recent years on our football team. We were able to get connected with organization that advocated for mental health and advocated for athletes having healthy mental health practices, and they introduced to us a lot of mindfulness practices that I pretty much carry out every day. They can be anywhere from 10 seconds, just deep breathing, or you can have meditation sessions. It all helps me gather myself and ground myself in mid stressful situations. Even when I'm not stressed, it's nice to drown out all the noise for a little bit and kind of get my mind working how I want it to.
I understand. Back when I used to play soccer, we used to go do yoga. It was high yoga. Wasn't, the most relaxing all the time as you're sweating, trying to hold your pose. But yes, it is a good technique and a good way to relax. I want to go back to what Ashante said about the tools and the resources. And Julian, you touched on it a little bit with the meditation, and Malik, you touched a little bit as well with the faith. So what other tools around campus or what groups do you use that have helped you along your mental health journey?
I could start with this one. I believe about a year or so ago, I was going through. Let me repeat that. Sorry. About a year or two ago, it was during season. I was having a pretty rough time with like family things and stuff back home, and it was really hard for me to balance. So I decided to go to the back campus and use our counseling center and start going to talk to somebody every week, every other week. And that just really helped me. They gave me a lot of tools to look at things in a different light, in a different perspective. So that was definitely been like one of the most important things that I've used on our campus. But what else do you guys have?
I just echo that. I'm sure there's coaches at all schools, but I know it's not universal that all schools have a free counseling services. But Davidson does have that at our student health center. So just doing check-ins with them has definitely been helpful to me, and not even just when something's going wrong, but just to equip me, like you were saying, with tools to better manage stress when it does arise, because it's not always something that has to happen in the moment, but to prepare me better to handle potential adversity. Because in sports, there's a lot of adversity, especially surrounding injury. For myself in particular, I was facing an injury, my like back this past season, and obviously you can't solve that issue through speaking with a counselor, through therapy, nothing like that. But you can definitely helps you manage the burden that brings along and the toll that takes on your mental health.
Yeah, just echoing what Julian said. I think um, injuries, like I've had a season-ending injury my freshman year, and so just thinking about like guys on the team who are older than I was, who maybe went through the same injuries or different injuries, but just were kind of in the same position. Just kind of talking to them, and because they knew what I was going through, and it was good just to talk to them because we could relate. And so I think just using people who are close to me, teammates, also family back at home. Probably for all of us, our family are our biggest support system. And so just talking to like my mom at home, she would always make sure that I was doing good and encouraging me. It was something that helped me a lot.
I was gonna add one more thing. So also we have, I think they try to do a couple per semester, but we've had I guess you kind of say like a workshop or like a little presentation from organizations like, for example, NAMI, which basically came through and talked. They brought a couple of professional athletes or retired professional athletes, and that kind of just helped people realize that they weren't the only ones that have ever gone through things like that.
How do you think social media and just like where we are now in the world, how do you think that has evolved, as well as the stigma around mental health has evolved in sports? How would you say that has changed?
I think
Also,
that
after you, Malik.
okay, I think that people have maybe kind of well, I want to say for sure, like people have had troubles with their mental health, but I think that nowadays, I guess the higher ups, I would say, I don't want that may be a bad word, but like the higher ups, they're kind of recognizing that, and so they're like, oh yeah, our athletes do put in a lot of work, and they also have school, and so yes, they are going through a lot, and so we should give them support. And I just remember talking to my granddad. He's like, back then, like when he played football, like they didn't get water. Like that was just something like outrageous, like it's crazy. But like now, like they can never do something like that. And just like if they didn't get water, they probably weren't getting mental health support. And so like, just thinking about that, like I feel like now, like I know our coaches, they are always on our making sure that we're okay mentally. And because if your mental is not right, it's kind of hard to perform on the field or on the track or the courts, and so I just feel like the stigma around mental health has kind of changed from, oh, if you have mental health problems, you're kind of weak, into, yes, let's help you with your mental health so that you're able to succeed in other areas.
I agree with that totally. It's crazy that they didn't get water. That's just insane, yeah. But I think definitely too that the stigma has changed for the better, with mental health of athletes now being a priority for especially like coaches acknowledging that it is important not only that your athlete performs physically, but they can perform adequately mentally and they can be in a good mental state, because that too leads to better physical performance on the field, on the court, whatever sport you may be involved in. Um, and I think this was especially shown to us at Davidson because, like I said earlier, we had the organization come in and teach us mindfulness techniques. This was like a weekly thing throughout our fall camp, and not everybody liked it, but it was definitely a good resource, and everybody took positives away from it and had things that they could apply in game, in the classroom, before bed to optimize sleep and deload from the day. I think it was huge for them to have had this, like you were saying, basically workshop for us, because it shows how much things have changed and how much they care. Because when I was playing football in high school, I couldn't imagine us coming together to speak about mental health and then be equipped with tools to deal with our mental health and provided with resources to help us manage.
Yeah.
I definitely feel like there's been a change. There's been a change and it's evolved, but there's definitely more work to be done and put in because I feel like a lot of times you come across people like that don't necessarily haven't necessarily embraced those tools that they've gotten from workshops or they've gotten from like just society itself, and it's kind of noticeable because mental health has been something that especially our generation has forced people to realize. And because like you said, back then it was a real like macho man mentality to where, oh well, that doesn't really have too much of an effect on you. You don't need that. Don't tell people your business type of thing. And now it's kind of like you have to force people to change their perspective on it to be able to really acknowledge it. Because you could still come across coaches today that are like, yeah, I understand you're not doing well too much mentally, but don't let that affect my field. You know, so it's still a lot of work to go into. There are a lot more people that are, like acknowledging it and making it matter, but there's still some work to be done for sure.
I'm sorry, guys. I had technical difficulties, but I feel like it's changed a lot. The stigma around mental health. I just know growing up, like you weren't finna tell. At least for me in my household, depressed. You depressed? You better press some dishes. Yeah, we'll be definitely be considered ungrateful for mental health problems, but I feel like it's changed a lot. Especially with my parents. If you need somebody to talk to, like they're always there for me. And I feel like as a community as a whole, like it's honestly changed a lot. At Southern, our coaches they have an open door policy. So whatever you like, if you need something, if you're going through something, you can come and talk to them. And we also have mental health counselors that we can, talk to that they can call. If you're going through something. So I feel like Southern has done a great job with that. But like she said, there's a lot of work to be done.
So I did want to inform everyone that in recent news, there has been legislation change starting in Ohio. Ohio does have some legislation going forward, and Maryland, I think, is the second to do so moving forward, where they're trying to get mandation on coaches and other athletic staff having training on mental health. So, what are your thoughts on that? And what would you say?
I feel like it's very much needed, and it's like I just feel like it's a really good step moving forward just because if you don't have the tools, you can't help somebody.
I agree completely.
I agree.
Yeah, like I was saying earlier, it's nice to know that that is being put into law. But I mean, of course, you want that to not have to be written into legislation to happen. You want that to come from a place of care, a place of concern for coaches have a concern that coaches have for their players and their well-being generally. Which makes me also feel good about that. I feel like in our program, our coaches do have that care, that concern. But I do think it's a great step in the right direction. But often too, when you mandate things like that, it's easy to not be bought into it and not be bought into the benefits, especially from a coaching standpoint. When you have to do something for your players, it's really easy to do it in terms of like checking off a box instead of actually wanting to have a certain outcome from having this training. I think it would be a lot. I think it's a lot better when it's rooted in actual desire and actual care as opposed to legislature. But I think that is definitely a positive.
Yeah, I agree with everything that you're saying. I didn't even think about it like that, but you know, if it's a law, and they have to do it, then it's gonna be it's like they're forced to do it. It's like you said, it's a box that they have to check. So it's not gonna be like it's not like their heart's gonna be into it. And for a lot of coaches, I'm sure it will be, but then some coaches are just gonna be like, all right, it's just another part of the job.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's great. I think people, if you say you're okay all the time, you're not. And so I just coaches, they're leading athletes, and so I just think it is a great thing.
If you could go back in time and talk to your younger self, what would you tell your younger self as far as mental health, or what would you tell young Black athletes growing up in your community? What would you tell them about if they're dealing with mental health or injuries or problems back home?
Yeah, I can start. I think even for me, but just other black athletes, younger people, I think it's like it's okay. Like if you're not feeling okay, like I think to be at your best all the time is draining and it's impossible. And I know our strength coach, he always talks to us about being at your best with minimum wavering. And so, like, you try to do your best, but that's just not going to happen. But you just want the wavering to be minimum and minimal. I also would just say, like I know for me, I had to get to a certain mindset. I was just like, I'm going to do my best. And if it is enough, great. And if it's not enough, great. Like, I think that's all you can really ask of yourself is to just give the most effort you can and to try your best, um, and just live with the results.
Yeah, I definitely agree. One thing I've learned, especially like from the summers, that my sport doesn't define me. So and I realized before like that my sport has so much of an impact on how I live my life and how my emotions were, and that shouldn't. I mean, you should care, but you shouldn't care that much to where you're sad and you're depressed. And so you're much bigger than a football player or a soccer player or a tennis player. You're much bigger than that. God put you on this earth for a reason, and there's other things about than just sports. So I feel like that's something I would tell my younger self.
To my younger self, I would probably just tell myself that, you know, there's there's other outlets as well, because like I grew up a real physical player. So like growing up, something was happening at home, I was gonna take it out on the field. But I feel like once I got older, I had to figure out different ways to kind of filter that energy. Um, and I would also tell myself to just keep going. The world didn't end when I messed up a pass. The world didn't end when, I didn't catch this person on the field. And to just keep working at it if that's what I really wanted to do, but to make sure that it was coming from my heart, not from what other people wanted me to do or what other people expected from me, because that put a lot of strain on myself. Well, I put a lot of strain on myself that way. Um, for Black athletes in general, or of the minority athletes in general, I would say that sports isn't the only way out, because I feel like a lot it's always a thing of, oh, Black athletes, the only way to get a scholarship is through a sport. That's a false narrative. You're smart, you're talented, you're amazing. So every like and I think Ckelby said it earlier, one day sports are gonna end. And it might not be because you chose to. You might experience an injury. You might, just not go through with the professional part of it. And that's okay. But you always have to have, I don't want to, you have to have an alternative in mind. I don't want to say plan B because people always say that plan B takes away from plan A. You can have both. I promise you. next year I'll have graduated with 2 degrees. You know what I'm saying? I played my years. I've been playing soccer for almost 19 years this year. So it's real important for people to know that sports isn't the only way. You might be passionate, about it, but you're bigger than a number.
Yeah, just to add to that, what I would say, I had time to think about it while y'all were talking because I really didn't know. I would just say to always put your best foot forward because I can recall times in my past growing up where I didn't always want to do something. I didn't always see the other side. I didn't see the benefit, so I wouldn't put my best foot forward. Sometimes I'd just go through the motions. I know growing up, my mom made me try play like every sport, most sports. I've swam, ran cross country, I've done all that, and I didn't enjoy doing a lot of that. So I would just accept, I'd be complacent in mediocrity. And I think that I tell myself, just if you're going to do something, put your best foot forward and always try your best to be the best because that will be to your benefit in the end. And you get out what you put in. So if you're not putting in, then you're not going to get out.
It is Black History Month. How have you guys invested in yourself, invested in your community? And like you said, it's easy for us to know how to take care of ourselves from the neck down because that's what we've been doing our whole lives, making sure that, our body is good for practice, for games, and make sure we're in shape, make sure we can lift the weight. But how do we invest in ourselves from the neck up? How do I invest in myself from the neck up? Okay, well, one thing that I really do enjoy doing, I'll just start off by saying that I don't limit Black history to just a month. I feel like we should celebrate Black history 365 days a year, 364, whatever the case may be. I feel like we should celebrate it every year. I do try to stay up to date on things that are happening in the Black community. Gabby Douglas is coming back. So, I try to make it a point like we should celebrate that. I'm an advocate on campus, so I try to be. I think Sean and Ckelby can testify to that I try to be as positive and as helpful as I can, just to make sure that everybody's involved and everybody's included and everybody's taken care of. I love shopping Black brands. Target actually had I guess like a design challenge, and they had like a section where they had designers from different HBCUs. And so I saw the crew neck that I wanted in January, and I told myself I didn't need it. But February came around, and I bought the crew neck. So that's how I invested in myself and my Black community, as well as there is a Black yoga teacher out here in Baton Rouge. I'm pretty sure there's another one, but Move Your Body Yoga that we used to go to for high yoga. I go to a couple of first sessions, try to debrief, de-stress a little bit. But also when there's just like different activities on campus, I do try to get involved. I think my faith is very important as well. So on Southern's campus, we have what we call FCA, which is the Fellowship of Christian Athletes. So once a week, I get to go and sit with a great group of people and talk and worship God and talk about, the struggles that we're having, but it's good, but really it's just putting myself in different environments. I think that's how I invest in myself as well as investing in my hobbies. I know Malik and Julian, y'all are in Charlotte, North Carolina, but a couple of people that I do hang around have got to experience my baked goods. I like to bake. So that is how I invest in myself.
Well, she's definitely always trying to be positive, and yes, she bakes a lot. I can attest to that. Now for me, I'm Athlete for Hope's intern on Southern Campus, like I said. So a lot of the time I love giving back because making people happy makes me happy. So like earlier this month, we did the Martin Luther King Jr. Day of services. So I got to hone in my younger self from performing arts and touch up a mural on the side of a building. That was really cool, and do some trash pickup. Um, Other than that, I really like Deja said, I try to support like Black owned brands a lot, especially like during this month, just because why not give to people that that we know is gonna benefit us. But I also like doing. I always say this, but I love retail therapy. I always say this, but I love retail therapy. And so that's always like a real easy way for me to like give back and bring myself joy at the same time. And then yeah, like the yoga and stretching stuff. Yeah.
So I don't particularly think I've done anything different in this month as opposed to any other month. Um, what you guys were saying, the retail therapy and all that. I don't really have the means currently to endorse that, but service is a big part of our commitment to being a football player at Davidson. So regularly we do serve in the community. Just on a weekly basis, there's something always to be done. Because like I said, we have a small, pretty interwoven community. It's a little college town, so we're always, as a team, looking for an opportunity to help out our community. And yeah, so with the example outside is we have room at the inn. It's twice a week. We set up rooms at a community center. We set up beds at a community center for the homeless to sleep, to kind of like rotate from place to place. And once a week, the place that they stop is Davidson. So just being involved in that is how I would you say I would give back during this month.
I'll say for me, this really hasn't been anything different. At least not this month. I'm a very Pittsburgh child. That's how I was born and raised. So, of course, I try to spend my time with God, and I'm in share with Deja. So, I go to a few Bible studies a week, a good amount of Bible studies a week, and I try and go to church every Sunday. That helps out with my mental, but also just doing the things that are most important in my life. So, like I said, God, that's number one. But education, making sure I'm caught up on everything. I just had an injury, so I'm not playing. I'm not working out the team as much as I normally do. So now I have much more free time, so I can spend that with God and education, and also just hanging out with friends. To some people that might not be that important, but I feel like that is important for my mental health. Just being able to chill, might just come over and just laugh and talk, and also just spending time with family. That's one of the biggest things to me. Spending time with family and just seeing how each other's doing, checking up on each other, and just about the same thing every day. Just doing what I need to do to get better as a person.
I think for me, it hasn't really been this month, but we have been interested in learning more about kind of the history of the Black community. I think when I was younger, I thought it was very I don't know the right word, but I think now it's very complex. The Black community is very complex. Like there's people who may live in Detroit, there's people who live in a suburb, there's people who may live in a city as it's mostly white people, but all the Black people in those areas, they're part of the Black community. And so I just think for me, I've been just wanting to learn more about how different people kind of view the community from different areas. And that's why I think Davidson is great, because we have people from all across the country. But also just learning more about the history of the Black community, dating back to 40 years civil rights. And then even before that, I think that is something that I've kind of, not just this month, but kind of have become invested in over the past couple of months.
Those are fantastic answers. I don't have any more questions. If there's anything that y'all would like to talk about, feel free. or if not, I will pause and then we can close out. It's up to y'all.
Can we do the why is it important for you to advocate for your mental health one?
Yes. Would you like to
wanna-
start, Ashante? Okay, I can ask you. Are you ready? Okay. Why do you think it is important to advocate for your mental health?
I personally think it's important to advocate because there's always somebody that could be going through the same thing that you are, or you may find somebody that went through the same thing that you're going through at the moment. So it's like if you give, you're also going to receive something as well, whether it's like motivation, advice, or you're giving somebody that advice that's needed. Because I feel like we can all agree that in the moment when you're going through things, you can't really sometimes you can't really weigh, okay, this might be the other perspective of it, the other side. So it just helps, you and other people.
Yeah, just tag teaming on that. I just think it's important to advocate for mental health and then my mental health. I just think that you're not the first one to experience something that you're probably going through, but you're also probably not the last person. And so I just think it's great for us to be able to help each other. And maybe if you don't have that person, for people like counselors and coaches to be able to step in and fill those gaps in.
Yeah, I definitely think it's important to advocate for it because just to let someone know that they're not alone, they're not in this by themselves. Although they might be going through daily situations by themselves, they really don't have to. So I just think it's really important, to let somebody know that they're not lonely, to let somebody know that we're here for them.
Yeah, going off of that, I agree with all that you guys said. But just I think it's an important, crucial part of your well-being in general, and it's not talked about enough in a positive light. I think, especially in the atmosphere of sports, I think it's easy to have a toxic culture surrounding mental health, and I think it's important to speak about that and to put it all out there and to be vulnerable with your teammates, to be vulnerable with each other, and kind of help dispel that stigma that is around mental health, especially in sports.
Um, I just wanted to ask y'all. So I know throughout my journey, like battling like mental health or having like advocating for it, I've met a couple people that have helped me tremendously. Just whether it be like giving me advice myself or have been like motivators for me to keep going. And you guys don't have to share like specific instances or examples or anything, but would you guys like to shout out anybody or bring up anybody that has helped you in the past?
Yeah, I can go. Well, one of my um, teammates, he was older than I am, but his name was we call him T Pain, but his name was Tyler. But he kind of had it rough with injuries, and he kind of didn't get to see the. He had a pretty bad injury his junior year, so senior year he still was kind of struggling with that. So he didn't get to see the light of the tunnel. He is at graduate school playing right now. I guess that is the light at the end of the tunnel. But he was just we had injuries at the same time. We were doing rehab together, and so he was just kind of super important for me and kind of helped me because it was my first major injury. I tore my ACL, so it was kind of my first major injury, and so it was just awesome, like going through that process with him.
I'd like to make a shout out to my parents. Um, Earlier during the season, the first couple of games, I feel like I didn't play up to the par that I played, that I should have been playing. And I was just kind of sad and stuff like that. But every day she would always send me scriptures and things like that, to help me feel better. And I was able to talk to her about why I was feeling the way I was feeling, and she was there for me. And she was like there to let me know, like, at the end of the day, football is gonna end. Like, you're so much bigger than the athlete. You're so much bigger than the athlete. So I feel like that's what people nowadays need to know. So I just like to shout out my mom and my dad.
There's definitely, I would say my girlfriend is the person who I fall back on for support in that realm. Um, she's, she's always going to be there at the end of the day and giving me that support that that I need sometimes when I'm going through a rocky patch sometimes, and she's just constantly checking it. There's not a particular instance I can cite where she was like checking because it's a constant thing. It's even when I don't appear to be down or I don't appear to be going through something, it's always just constant check-ins, like to make sure that I am, and when I'm not, it's easy for me to be vulnerable with her in particular, and that's not something that I would attribute really to anybody else because I think it's pretty unique to the relationship that we have and how she's been super supporting of me and of the things that I do on a daily basis, and basically like as was said earlier, kind of establishing that you are bigger than football. You're at the end of the day, you're somebody who has value. You bring so much more to the table than your role as a student athlete per se. Because and then that's just my person right there.
Deja, did you want to add something to it?
Yes, I would add, like Ckelby said, my parents have been a big supporter. I have struggled through two major surgeries. I tore my ACL my freshman year in recovery. My junior year, I tore my meniscus, and then this past year, at the end of the season, I had a scope surgery, which I didn't really inform too many people about. But I'll just say, like, the biggest supporters, of course, like my parents. I had a trainer, her name was Miss Gina, and then my PT, his name is Luke, at Oshner. They were very important in my journey back, getting on the field, and staying there and being there mentally. But I also just want to say, just like, truth be told, the athletes in SU athletics, I feel like there's no bigger community than the community that you have inside the athletic department. And so uh, when you post on social media, or you get out that brace and we go to each other's games, it was nice to have people check on me and make sure I was good and just be in my corner, truthfully, to support me in my journey and being on the field, being off the field, or recovering.
For me, my boyfriend too, and also my like trainers help me out a lot with that stuff. They helped me out a lot with that stuff. Just like checking on me, making sure like even if I did steam down, like they were doing stuff. And I just wanted to ask that because like it's really important to know who your circle is when you go through those things, because those are the people that you can go to when you feel like you hit rock bottom or when you feel like celebrating something. Because I feel as though like opening up isn't just about, oh, I'm really down about something or I'm mad about something, let me go tell you, let me vent. It's also about celebrating yourself. So if you get an award, those are the people that you can go to that are going to applaud you, that are going to give you your praises. And I feel like it's very important to have those people around you and know who those people are, because I know there's always times where there are student athletes that aren't here with us anymore, and they felt like whether they had somebody and they couldn't go to, or they've reached a breaking point. There's a lot of people that aren't too comfortable with those people that they have in their circles. And sometimes if they were, it could be, a little different. But I just feel like it's really important to know those people and to utilize them, because you could say, I'm okay, I'm okay, I'm okay. But if you're not, that's who you need to go to at the end of the day. And that's what's going to be there for you.
Thank you for joining us. Thank you to Athletes for Hope for hosting this month's Black History Month and Mental Health panel. I want to give a special thanks to Julian and Malik from Davidson College, as well as Ckelby and Ashante from Southern University, for being here and speaking with us today.